He's football. Entourage for winning.
Welcome, Entourage, to this week's edition of Buy, Sell, Hold. Nice to see everybody. A little early morning start. Apologize for not being able to go on live last night, but we got plenty to cover, so let's get into it, guys. Remember also, if you want the complete list of trade targets, it's only $15 for the rest of the year. My premium product includes waiver wire gems and free agent finds, my buy, sell, hold list, and also the rankings, which come out the first edition this evening, and then an updated version on Saturday. All righty. So my first buy for today is Cooper Kupp. It's weird how fantasy managers overreact to everything, and weird how we see things sometimes, how we perceive things in our head. We always think that if one player on a team does well, then another can't. Often I get questions are, well, if I got Chris Godwin, is it okay if I have Mike Evans? If I have Cooper Kupp, is it okay if I have Robert Woods, or vice versa? Because Woods was the receiver that everybody was touting in the offseason. And yeah, guys, I mean, it's better to have a wide receiver 2 on a potent offense than have a wide receiver 1 on the Miami Dolphins, okay? So yeah, Cooper Kupp, a lot of people think because Robert Woods had this breakout game against the softest of soft matchups you could get, Seattle's secondary, Trey Flowers, he just left the team, and I'm gonna miss him, quite frankly, because he was just like the cornerback I used to pick on every week. Whoever Trey Flowers was going to be covering, that's who I wanted. And just that Seattle secondary in general is horrific. So with all that said, Robert Woods had the game he had, and Cooper Kupp still had almost 17 points. So if that's your floor, he's still the wide receiver 1 on his team and in fantasy. Okay, he still plays the slot, which is a huge mismatch. And yeah, I mean, his worst game was 16.7 points. I'll take that any day of the week. So if you got some scary fantasy managers out there, take advantage. All right. My second player, and this is somebody I've been, every year I have that running back that I fall in love with. Last season was it was kind of a tie between Jonathan Taylor and Antonio Gibson. And then this season, there wasn't that many running backs I loved, like rookies. But there's a player by the name of Jevonte Williams who he's ready, guys. Simply put, he's ready. Last week against Pittsburgh, did not have many touches, but one of those included a 49-yard scamper, guys. He is like Nick Chubb reincarnated. And he's going to get more targets than Nick Chubb, because if Nick Chubb got targets, he could catch the football. Unfortunately, he's also on a team with Kareem Hunt, so he's not going to get those targets. But Jevonte Williams seems to be getting those targets, getting about 3 a game, okay? And he still only has 1 touchdown. Now, in the first couple of weeks, he was getting 14, 15 carries, splitting time with Melvin Gordon. The last 2 weeks, because they've been blown out, he only got about 8 carries, right, and about 3 targets. I expect that to go out. I don't think there's going to be many games where Denver is going to be blown out. And Melvin Gordon has an injury of histories, is dealing with an injury this week. So I'm calling it right now. I think this is the week that Jevonte Williams breaks out. He's just looked really, really good. Like, just look really close to breaking out. I think week 6, it's time. And this might be your last time to buy Jevonte Williams. Last but not least, Michael Pittman, guys. Michael Pittman is somebody I liked coming into the season. Carson Wentz, he had a similar receiver, but not as talented in Fulgham. He seems to like those bigger receivers, Alshon Jeffrey, Travis Fulgham, and now he's got Michael Pittman. And that touchdown catch that he made where he just towered over somebody and then broke a tackle, and went to the end zone. Just shows you the type of talent he is. He's getting a ton of targets. Carson Wentz looks back. Bonus for you. If you could buy Carson Wentz, he might be a QB1 the rest of the way. A lot of these QB1s or borderline QB1s like Kirk Cousins, Ryan Tannehill, Baker Mayfield, they're just not getting the job done. So if you don't have a Jalen Hurts, a Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, somebody like that, Justin Herbert, then Carson Wentz, being that their defense is not that good either. He's finally healthy. He gets T.Y. back this week. Oh, and he gets the Texans. What better way? All right, so he's been quietly averaging. So that's a bonus for you, quietly averaging over 20 points last couple games. All right. My sell list, surprise, surprise, Debo. Now, Debo is the perfect sell candidate. There's no sell candidate more perfect than Debo. And you might be thinking, rapper, he's been tearing it up. He has. But that's why he's a perfect candidate. Not only that, guys, you are now playing with house money. And what I mean by that, when did you draft Debo? Like the 9th round? You already made like 100x on your return. Why not cash out? Don't be that guy in the casino that's up $1,000 like I was, leaves his chair, and then ends up losing 300. Okay? You are playing with house money. So he's doing great, which means you could get great returns. He's on a bye week, which means you can't use him this week. He also has an injury history. All right. We still got a ways to go. And what did he do last week? He only had 2 catches. Okay. We got to figure at some point Trey Lance is going to be the quarterback, right? We just got to. If Trey Lance is the quarterback, we also got to figure that the Niners are going to run the football a lot more. We saw that as well. He has 16 carries, which is why Debo didn't do it. George Kittle will be back eventually. I think I'm still not losing faith in Brandon Ayuk, so he could be a thing. Some of these running backs, like Elijah Mitchell was back last week. We will see Jeff Wilson and Jamal Hasty come back at some point, which is an upgrade to their running game, so they may want to run the ball more. So all these things do not bode well. And the main thing, like I said, guys, people could talk crap all they want. Yes, I was down on Debo. Nothing to do with his talent. Not surprised at all what he's doing. But if history repeats itself, I've never seen a player that gets injured every year and then all of a sudden doesn't get injured. I mean, it's happened before, I'm sure. But the odds are against you. Again, you're playing with house money. Best to cash out now while you still can. My second player here is Daryl Henderson. Daryl Henderson, you're going to see a theme here, guys, when it comes to sell. I do not like injury-prone players. I like players I could trust. And Daryl Henderson, he was injured in the offseason. He already missed a game. He got injured in the middle of the game in Thursday, even though he looked great. And Sony Michel came in and he robbed the touchdown for him. So I think this is going to be more of a, split backfield than people realize. Like Sean McVay's got to be saying to himself, look, every time I give this guy 90% of the snaps, he gets injured. Okay? Because he was well on his way. The week before that, Sony Michel fumbled. He had like the rest of the snaps the rest of the way. This last week, he got injured. And then Sony Michel was kind of like splitting with him. Okay? So, why not sell high? You could still get decent return. A lot of people like Daryl Henderson. I could see why. Being the number 1 back on a potent offense is a lot of value. But the best ability is availability, and Daryl Henderson has proven to us if you give him too much, he gets injured. And then if you give him too little, there's not going to be much difference between him and Sony Michel. So sell Henderson, buy Michel on the low. I'm not even confident Michel can stay healthy, but hey, I still think, by the time maybe Daryl Henderson plays a couple more games and then Sony Michel only has to last like 5 games the rest of the season. I don't know, but I would be selling on Daryl Henderson. Last but not least, this will be a surprise to a few. Tom Brady. Tom Brady, what do you mean? He's like the second QB in fantasy. Like, yeah, that's why you sell him. Tom Brady's great. Tom Brady is great, especially what he's doing at 44. That's unheard of. But here's the thing. Real soft schedule, all right? Who do you face? Dallas, Atlanta, Who did he faces last week? Miami. So his schedule's been soft. Not that he can't do it against tougher competition. But it gets a lot harder. So this week, we're gonna see a lot. I mean, it's a short week, so it's kind of tough to game plan for teams. But he's going to Philadelphia. Philadelphia has a really, really good secondary. So it's going to be interesting what he does. But yeah, the games are getting tougher. Philadelphia, Chicago, New Orleans. Those are his next three, and then a bye. So not great matchups, and then a bye. And then his playoff schedule is brutal. Week 14, Buffalo. And then he's got Carolina. Then he's got New Orleans again. Okay, he's got the Jets for the championship. But still, it's all about selling high, getting your maximum return. So I'd rather sell him now when he has 3 bad matchups, and then you could get a decent quarterback in return, or maybe you have a decent quarterback waiting in the wings, and then you could upgrade a different position. And then you don't have to worry about the bye week, or maybe you have to worry about the bye week with another quarterback, but you can play chess and handle that when it occurs as well. So that's why I say sell Tom Brady. And again, he's not bad players. Debo's a good player. Daryl Henderson's pretty good, look pretty good. Tom Brady's the GOAT. But it's about maximizing your returns, and if you need help at another position. All right. My holds, number one, perfect example of talent over everything, guys. We see this every year. Fantasy managers are very overreactionary. By DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf was my number 1 wide receiver going into the season, and he was that for a reason. He's number 10 right now, so obviously we're behind, but these things could change in a blink of an eye. He was like number 2, I think, for the first half of last season, then finished in the top 10. So now, can he do it with Gino Smith as his quarterback? That's the great question. And my answer is yes. Yes, because talent over everything. Now, that's simplifying things, but to give it more perspective. When Gino came in, Gino threw one of DK Metcalf's touchdown passes, and that was against the Rams, right? Gino Smith, he's not good. He's going to commit some turnovers, but he's good enough. He's good enough, and they use him in that offense. He's getting a ton of targets. His worst game, and people think, again, perception's reality. People think DK's kind of been a bit of a bust. But his lowest game is 11 points. I love those type of floor guys. I hate players that end up 2, 3, 4 points. All right. If your worst game is 11 points, give me that all day. Okay. Gino Smith can throw the football. And what I mentioned earlier, Seattle's secondary is horrendous. Their defense sucks. What does that mean? They're going to have to throw the ball. He's the leading receiver with a crappy defense, with a quarterback capable enough to get him the ball. And again, talent over everything. He is a great talent that can overcome quarterback deficiencies. And I don't think there's going to be obviously Russ is better than Gino Smith, but I don't think there's going to be as much drop off as you think, because I think the targets will still be there. They move them around the football field, and they will continue to try to get their best player the ball, especially when they're down all game. Okay. So there you have it. Might be a good DFS play this week too against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Secondary is nothing to write home about, and they should be up that game. All right. Second, another might be surprise for you guys, Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette is the clear running back 1. He's also the favorite receiving running back. Yeah, Gio gets some snaps, might be in the 2-minute offense, might get some third downs, but primarily speaking, Fournette's getting the carries. He's getting the targets, aka the touches. It's no longer a shared backfield. He's getting like 70%, close to 70% of the snaps, even with Ronald Jones, even with Gio Bernard. In a potent offense, again, the lead back in a potent offense, capable pass catcher getting the touches, and the sentiment is still down on Fournette. People just don't like him. It's crazy because 2 years ago, people were all over Fournette. and now they just like, and he's in a better offense, better situation. But I would hold on to Leonard Fournette unless you're blown away. But I don't think anybody's, trading the farm for Leonard Fournette right now, which is why I say he's a hold. All right. Last but not least, Dalton Schultz. Had to put a tight end on there. Dalton Schultz, believe it or not, Dalton Schultz is the number 4 tight end right now. He has exactly as many points as Darren Waller, who people picked in the 3rd round. Dalton Schultz was a waiver. Not saying that Darren Waller is not better and Darren Waller won't be better, put up better numbers, but goes back to what I was saying before. Everybody thinks there's too many mouths to feed. That is the biggest myth ever. There's so many myths. I'm going to make a video about myths in fantasy football. I think I'm going to do that. It's like snap share counts. No. Cordell Patterson proved that. Too many mouths to feed? Nope. Dalton Schultz proved that. Think about that. In a team with Zeke, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, he's the number 4 tight end, has as many points as Darren Waller. Well, that's what happens when you have a good offense that can score a lot of points with a bad defense is the perfect storm. 8 targets. His last 3 games, like 8 and 7 targets. For a tight end, that's crazy. It's kind of hurting my CeeDee Lamb shares, but whatever. He'll get it together. He had a touchdown last game. He's just great. But yeah, and he's a big red zone target too for Dak. And you got him for free. So hold on to him because the perception is, oh, he's Dalton Schultz. He's got too many mouths to feed, blah, blah, blah. So at that case, okay, I'll hold on to my number 4 tight end, averaging over 14 points a game. There you have it. That's my buy, sell, hold. Quick recap. My buys are Cooper Kupp, Jevonte Williams, and Michael Pittman. Sell, Deebo Samuel, Daryl Henderson, and Tom Brady. And my holds are DK Metcalf, Leonard Fournette, and Dalton Schultz. Now it's time for you to ask away. The floor is yours, Entourage. George says, I'm being offered Cook and Madison for Adams and Harris. My other running backs, Kamara. My other running back is Kamara. I wish you would tell me exactly what other running backs you had, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to answer right off the bat. My best wide receivers are Ridley and A.J. Brown. What do you think? Yeah, I mean, because I don't know your full roster, I don't know, because here's the thing. Your wide receivers are very, 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 very suspect. Well, first of all, you only named 2, which tells me nothing, unfortunately. Yeah, I need more information. But, yeah, those wide receivers really missed the game for personal matters. They said they don't know when he was going to be back. I tried to look for that again. I couldn't find it, so I don't know if it was my delusion. But red flags with Ridley, red flags obviously with A.J. Brown. Hasn't done crap all year, has been injured. So a lot of uncertainty in your wide receivers. You do have some certainty, even though you only name 1, but Kamara is about as certain as they get. So I need more info. Yeah, well, if you give me your full roster, George, I can give you a straight answer, but I need more info. Baby Chubb season, I agree. Obviously, he's my buy. I have Fant and Gesicki. Should I pick up Schultz and drop Gesicki? First of all, what kind of league are you in? That's number 1. Number 2, I wish you could trade one, but yeah, I'd do that, I guess. Sorry about that. Yeah, I would do that. Jamal Williams, Michael Carter, and Elijah Mitchell. Okay, those are your running backs. What about your wire? Oh, George Gainwell. Yeah, let me know your wide receivers. You got some decent running backs, though. Which is good because maybe if you do that trade, I'm 1-4. My top players are Saquon, Montgomery, Kittle. I have Kamara mixing too. Well, you've obviously had some injuries. Your team's amazing. So you just need them to get healthy. At least Kamara and Mixon will be playing this week. And Mixon, if I'm not mistaken, has a good matchup. I don't remember who he plays, but I'm pretty sure he has a good matchup and he's practicing. So you should be good, Nick. You just got off to a rough start. It happens. Sometimes we're just unlucky, but obviously you have an all-star squad. Ridley, Brown, Higgins, E. Sanders, Patrick, and Mooney. I feel like you need to make multiple trades. I feel like you should try to package some of these running backs for a better running back and then package some of these receivers for a better receiver. I think that would be better than trading Adams for Cook. For me, the way your team's constructed, I think it's a point swap. In other words, I think it's pointless. I don't think it makes your team better. I don't think it makes your team worse. If you want to do it, then go ahead. But I think the way your team is constructed, you're better. The better move would be to like package, or maybe you could package a receiver and a running back. So, trade Jamal Williams to the Swift owner and package him with Emmanuel Sanders, and then get a Jevonte Williams or something like that. That's going to be your better move. So take some of these okay running backs that have a little bit of value, like Jamal Williams, Michael Carter, Elijah Mitchell. None of them are great, but they're at least tradable pieces if you package them with something else, and then you could upgrade that way. So this way you're not sacrificing star players and just doing a point swap, star player for star player. That's a lot better strategy because that's going to make your team better as opposed to you're just going to be you're just trading to trade. You're not really doing anything. Because the combination of Cook and Madison, which pretty much is one, is great. It's going to give you about the same amount of production as Adams. Harris sucks, so I don't even count him. So it's just Adams for Cook, which, again, is a wash, especially when your receivers are about the same as your running back core. There's no difference. It's not like you have this great running back core and sorry receivers or great receivers and sorry running backs. They're about the same. Your team is very, very evenly dispersed. Oh, Kamara's on a bye. That's right. Oh yeah, Mixon's playing the Lions. Okay, so yeah. Unfortunately, you're going to have to trade one of these bye or injured players. That's basically what it comes down to. You're gonna have to trade, which I often don't like, but see if you can trade with a team that's not the top, because you don't want to make another team better that's already great. But the teams that can afford to take an injured player or a bye week player are teams that are good, right? Because they're sacrificing the now for the later. So yeah. So try to find a team that's a playoff contender, but not a team that's 5-0. So maybe 3-2 that can afford to take a risk. Maybe like the third seed, the second seed, the third seed, something like that. Find a team that's deep. But yeah, you're gonna have to trade Kamara, Barkley, Kittle, one of those guys. If you're 1-4, you need to win. Would you trade away Singletary? Anytime the question starts with, should I trade away Singletary? He shouldn't even be rostered, number one. And then you followed up with Mike Davis, which he hasn't done crap, really. Or Jamal Williams forward. I mean, that Jesus, that's called a blanket question. But in answer to your blanket question, yes, I would trade those players for a receiver, but all those players pretty much are like, meh. So No bite for Ridley yet. Yeah, I mean, Ridley might be tough to trade given the uncertainty, given the bye week. It's hard to trade players on their bye. The only people that are going to take players on their bye are like really good teams. Which, by the way, if you are one of those really good teams, if you are 5-0, if you're 4-1, pounce on that. You know, trade for one of these bye week or injured players. Not all injured players, just like Barkley, but take advantage of that because that could, you know, you're in it to win it, right? You can never sit still. You can never be complacent. Well, if you got Booker and the rest of your team is solid, then you know you might win this week. I don't know. I don't know your matchup. I don't know your team, but I think Booker is a decent replacement, you know. Domingo, there's a lot of leagues. There's a lot of fantasy managers that don't trade, scared to trade. But here's what I gotta say to that. Make the trade a no-brainer. Give your trade partner what's perceived to be an abundant amount of value for the player you want. Try to buy players that are coming off a bad game and try to give him players that are coming off a good game that we don't think are going to be able to keep that up. And then you got your trade. You just got to make it that good. And sometimes, I explained this in my Facebook group, sometimes you got to lose a trade, but actually win a trade. And what I mean by that is sometimes you have a position of strength. Like one manager had Hurts and Herbert. So there's no point of having 2 top 5 quarterbacks. So yeah, you can lose the trade, but you're still making your team better. Or if you package a certain amount of players, right? Like you do a 2-for-1, a 3-for-1, something like that. And then you have 2 roster spots. So you might be losing the trade, but then you pick up 2 solid waivers. Like this guy had Dalton Schultz on his waivers. Some of you guys got really good players on your waivers. So then if you factor in those players that you pick up on the waivers, you actually end up winning the trade because you make your team better. So yeah, the trade, if you just look at the trade, that's why a lot of people, when they ask me trade questions, like on Instagram and stuff, I'm like, well, I need to see your roster. I need to know who you're dropping, who you're adding. So all that factors in. Yeah, Booker was better if you need a win now. Although I don't know, that KC game should be a shootout, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm gonna be getting off here though, guys. So any last minute questions, shoot your shot. Going once, going twice. Well, any remaining questions? Don't forget to comment. All right. Shoot your shot. That's what she said. Okay. On that note, I'll see you guys. Peace. I forgot to say that.